let's move on to Wealth Creator. And I want to see the chart on this one. This will be interesting, I'm sure, given what we've seen last. So who is a Wealth Creator? What do they look like? How does it work, Tony?
Okay, Wealth Creator looks a bit like a debtor and saver mixed together. The major difference is Wealth Creators use luck.
Okay, so back to liquidity, use, control. I'm liking this luck acronym. So they say to generate wealth, you need to be lucky. You also need some luck. How does that fall into play?
Well, a lot of people look at business owners or successful people and say, oh, they had luck. They had luck. Yeah, they did, because they had liquidity, use, and control and knowledge of their money. And when opportunities arose, they were able to quickly capitalize on it and do whatever they needed to. And also, they were never stressed because they knew they had some money somewhere put aside that they can actually access fairly quickly, and a substantial amount.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask about the chart here. So I'm seeing a green line that's sloping up to the right. That sounds like it's the savings growing but never drawn against, because it never goes down. And then the red line is that purchase that we saw from the spender, as you said. So it's that combination. So it goes down and then they pay back. And it looks like they pay back from cash flow, and everything just seems to move up nicely to the right-hand side, which is what you want. Is that how we interpret this? Is that how it works?
Correct. Wealth begins with savings.
Okay.
The difference between a Wealth Creator and the other two comes down to how the purchases are made. Wealth Creator doesn't draw on their savings, allows it savings to grow compounded, uninterrupted over time. Basically, in the beginning, you capitalize your Wealth Creator account, and then basically over time, if you need to draw money, you borrow against yourself. You use it as collateral, and you are able to pay yourself back. And when you're paying yourself back, you don't even have structured payments, such as if you had purchased or borrowed from the bank. Sorry.
That's great. So you can have unstructured payment plan. I know the banks, if you ever borrow anything, credit cards or otherwise, it's always due on the 15th or biweekly or whatever it is. So you can actually set up your own payment plan if you get to this Wealth Creator position.
Correct. Okay. And as you pay it down, you have access to it again. So it's very flexible from that standpoint.
Oh, great. Anything else?
And you don't have to, and one thing I have to add, and you don't have to beg and qualify.
Okay.
No cap in hand.
All right. Anything to add to that chart that we just saw? I mean, I kind of jumped ahead and said, it seems to be growing to the right, paying down through cash flows. Did you want to add anything about that chart at all?
Yeah. Basically, Wealth Creators never lose control of their money. They never hand their savings. So purchases are made and paid from monthly cash flow. At the beginning, Wealth Creators may dip below the zero line. Over time, the savings are allowed to compound over time, keeping the Wealth Creator above the zero line. Wealth Creators, like I keep saying, using the acronym luck, liquidity, use, and control, and knowledge. And having that makes a world of difference.
Yeah, back to that luck. Okay. I'm wondering, do you have another chart that we can look at regarding the Wealth Creator? And oh, there we go. Somebody heard me, or you're reading my mind, whatever it is. More tanks, more colors. Go ahead, Tony. Let's hear what you have to say about this.
Again, like in the previous ones, the far left is a tank that your actual income comes in. Then it comes through and it goes through your taxes. And you build up investments and savings. The only difference you'll notice is in the savings, there's a little blue, there's a blue section, which is collateral. And that collateral ties into the liability. So as you pay down the liability, you use the collateral to pay the liability off, and then you pay down the collateral by repaying yourself. Living above the zero line saves amount of necessary to live today and tomorrow. You diversify and create access to capital, borrows to purchase everything through collateralization, whether it's cars, whether it's homes, whether it's whatever. It's a major purchase. Pays the loan and interest from the current lifestyle cash flow. So you're not paying exorbitant debt constantly on a cycle, giving it away.
Right. Okay. So one thing again that stands out about this chart, another tank popped in the borrowed funds, which is from the spender, and I see there's more money. So these wealth creators are, it looks like they're compounding or at least saving more or in a more efficient manner. And you mentioned that collateral piece. So they're using that savings tank instead of drawing down like the saver did. They're just saying, here, I've got this collateral, and then they're applying it to borrowed funds from wherever. And then they start paying that down, and the green increases again, the liability decreases. And that's how they, I guess, finance their purchases.
Correct. They use the collateral and then they pay it back with unstructured. So if, for an example, buying a car, you could go in and get a car. You could lease it, not efficient because you'll be leasing it again. If you buy a car, there's one price if you're financing it, and there's usually a substantial difference if you pay cash. So you would pull the money, you'd collateralize your safe tank and basically pay off the car with cash, and then you make the payments back to the collateral, knock down the liability.
Okay, sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean, leases are easy, but yeah, if you own it, at least it's an asset, depreciating at that, but it makes sense. Okay, I've got a question for you. Do wealth creators pay off mortgages? What have you seen in your experience?
Yes, some do, but if you look at it, assuming your mortgage payments stay level, because of inflation, you're actually paying your mortgage with cheaper dollars because inflation is eating away at the purchasing power. Perfect example of that is when you were growing up, you bought a chocolate bar for 50 cents. Today, that same chocolate bar is $1.50, $2, and it's about a quarter of the size that it was before, or half. I know myself, if I love my chocolate, so I would love to have stocked up at 50 cents compared to $2, and you get more. And that's basically the same idea with a house. Why hand over money to the lender? Because the lender is the one that's actually benefiting by having the equity paid down, and you don't have any access to cash.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you your opinion. What's your view on paying off a mortgage? I mean, you made some good arguments there, but what's your view on paying off a mortgage?
Well, don't get me wrong. It's never a bad thing to pay off your mortgage, but there's always a better way. What if you kept the money that you were trying to pay off the mortgage in a quicker way, in a side account that compounded uninterrupted over time, knowing that at a certain date, you can actually have enough money in that side account that you can pay off that mortgage and walk away at any time? I would rather be in that position than being on a constant hamster wheel trying to pay down that mortgage and worried, oh, whatever happens if. I've talked to people that they've had the heck moments that the training went on their car, they needed emergency funds, whatever the case may be, and they go quickly to their credit cards instead of actually having that extra cash sitting aside, knowing that you've put a stockpile aside. You can pay off bills and build it up again.
Yeah, that sounds like a powerful position. If you can sit there and, look at your, I guess, mortgage statement for lack of better words and say, I owe say 100,000, and meanwhile I got 100,000 in another account, saying at any time I can write a check if I want to, but not feeling pressured to do so. That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to add anything else about the mortgage side of things before we move on?
Yeah. One last thing. Many wealth creators I've met choose not to pay off their debts. They let their savings compound, but it takes discipline. Even at extremes, you hear about ultra millionaires carrying mortgages. Why? Because they want liquidity and control. They don't need to have a mortgage. They've got enough money to pay it off, but they like having the money and they love having the liquidity and control, that luck that they need.
Yeah, luck is a great acronym. I've seen it in my past life working for the banks when you're dealing with these high net worth families, and you look at their balance sheet and they've got a lot of money in investments and assets, and they also have liabilities, and you're saying, well, why wouldn't you just pay it off? But it comes back to that liquidity and use and control, because they know they can always access their capital, whereas over here it's the debt carried by the banks. They're just cash flowing it out, so they're being their own bank, I guess, for lack of better words.
Exactly.